Hey guys, brand new podcast. And today I'm with British comedian Russell Howard. We have a great conversation. This was done when we were in London. We went to a pub, we went upstairs, and we had a great talk. He is a dude. I saw his special Lubricant. I was blown away because, and I bring this up in the podcast, you'll hear us talk about this, but he talks about the pandemic and he does it in a way I've never really heard a comic do it, which immediately when I saw that, I got pulled in. I was like, I want to see more of this guy. And so we scheduled a podcast upstairs at a pub. We had a great conversation. We talked about family. We talked about funerals. We talked about and then we really, really deep dive about the process of stories and family members and how you get into stories. It's a great hang. It is a great hang, a great podcast. And we talk about me writing for my daughter Georgia and what I'm going through with her going to college and so funny, he goes, she's your Jiminy Cricket. And I've heard Jiminy Cricket, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was in Pinocchio. Did you know that, guys? Jiminy Cricket? I didn't know that. I just thought it was something you said when you found your keys. You're like, Jiminy Cricket, I found my keys. Check out his special on Netflix, Lubricant. I think he's got two. I think he's got Lubricant and another one. He also has a show in the UK that's wildly popular. He's a fantastic dude. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, stand-up comedian, British dude, my friend, Russell Howard.
Oh, wow. How's the UK? We meant to not chat.
No, we didn't chat. No, we'll chat on camera.
How's it been?
It's been, are we rolling, Manzi?
Fucking hell, look at this.
Yeah.
There's no fucking
No, why? All the good stuff. That's all the good stuff. We used to do that on Rogan back in the day, is you'd sit and catch up, and then he'd do ad reads, and you'd want to talk during the ad reads. Yeah. And then you miss all the good shit. And then all of a sudden you go, all right, you ready? And you're like, I just shared all the fun shit.
But you probably haven't even adjusted your ass yet. Like,
no,
you literally just wanted it.
Oh, dude, when we do it at my house, are you rolling on all cameras, Manzi?
Fucking great.
When you do it in my house, I turn the cameras on before they show up.
Right.
Because that's when all the good shit happens. I mean, I edit out the gossip. We gossip.
Right.
Me and Segura, like when we do Two Bears, man, our podcast does pretty well, but it would be the biggest podcast in the fucking world if we played for that first fucking 5 minutes.
Can you not have code names?
No. Yeah, well, there's a name I edit out every show because people will spring them up, and I just edit him out because I know that he'd love if we said his name.
Right.
Like he's someone if he heard his name in podcast, he'd be like, "Is you know?"
I know. Yeah. I don't know him, but I know of him, and I know he's mates with Jimmy. Jimmy Carr's a good mate of mine.
Oh yeah. Jimmy Carr's an interesting dude. Me and Skirt back when we were younger and when we weren't we were just kind of trying to figure out things. We were doing a show and Jimmy Carr stopped by to do a guest set. Yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. He must be really hustling. And Segura pulls up his net worth and he goes, does he need to?
Yeah, right.
And I went, wait, what?
Yeah. But does he need to? Or does he need to?
Yeah.
But therein lies the pickle. Do you know what I mean? It's that fascinating thing. The further you get on, you don't need to, but you need to.
Well, I think I actually feel like I need to more now more than ever, because I feel people biting at my heels.
Right.
You know, like I feel the younger generation coming up. I've never felt that ever before, but I watch dudes murder it, and I'm talking on every level. They go on a podcast, and I mean, I used to be so fucking funny. Yeah. Like I used to be so. Now I feel like all I do is talk about marketing and fucking how to sell tickets and how to fucking promote show. Like I feel like I used to go on. I remember going on a podcast one time. Someone was talking about weight loss. I said, my dad's putting pregnant woman's piss under his tongue.
Wow.
So and like immediately in podcasting, you're like, whoa, tell me that story.
And did they know?
No, he was.
What? Like, I just want to know how you go about that.
It was a weight loss program.
Did it work?
Ultimately, they were prescribing him speed. They were masking it in like a holistic way. But one of the things was one of the fen-phens. Do you remember fen-phen?
No.
Fen-phen was an amazing drug. It was like Prozac, for lack of better terms, like a mood stabilizer and amphetamine.
Right.
So you felt amazing and you felt amazing.
Yeah.
And so they were giving my dad the amphetamine.
But where's the pregnant women's piss?
It was part of the holistic. So they were tricking him and going like, but also take this pill. The pregnant woman's pissed. You're going to take these things. I need you on a diet. Like, it was a scam. It was a scam.
But surely the PP is the red flag.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. He was eating 600 calories a day.
Fuck, and is he a big lad?
No, he was my size when he started. Now he's like 200 pounds. He looks great. But I mean, over the time, he lost the weight. And he gave me one of the pills over Easter. And the second it kicked in, I go, we're doing speed, Dad.
Right.
Like, this is, he goes, no, buddy, it's doctor prescribed. I'm telling you, you barely eat anything. And I go, yeah. I go, Dad, do you have a lot of good business ideas? And he's like, all day long. He goes, buddy, I sit down at my desk and I just start working. I don't get up until 3 in the afternoon. I was like, yeah. You know who else did that, Dad? Hitler. So, Jimmy Carr, I remember watching him hustle and going, you ever heard the book, What Makes Sammy Run?
No.
It's a big Hollywood book about agents and assistant agents. Mm-hmm. And one of the assistant agents was named Sammy, and he'd run down the hall to get the mail. And they're like, what makes Sammy run? It's that.
Right. Just that desire.
Yeah.
But also there's something about like being an English comic, being in the States. It's like being a cool open spot again. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of suddenly you're young and nobody knows you've ever done it before, and then you're fucking great. Do you know what I mean? It's that is we call that the proverbial catbird seat.
The fabled catbird.
That is the fucking place to be. Yeah. That is the place. Because I have to say this again on camera. You are funny as fucking shit. You did stuff in the last special I just saw. I think you released it in 2022.
Yeah.
You did stuff in there that I would have slammed any comic for doing. But you did it so well.
Oh, really? What's that?
Immediately, you opened with not COVID material. You opened with pandemic material, which is so different. Like, so many people had COVID jokes, but you had pandemic. What you did, I don't need to tell you what you did. You know what you did, but you made it like we were talking about high school instead of talking about the pandemic.
Yeah.
You did it. You reminded me of things I hadn't thought of without making it feel dated.
Right.
It was really fucking. I'm telling you, I am very critical of people's. I'm very critical of ours.
Yeah.
I loved it, and your comedy is so thick. I mean, you have so much material layered into material, with, and I love callbacks. I fucking love callbacks. Yeah. I don't know. You know what's interesting to me is your joke, your laugh per minute is through the fucking roof.
Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know. It's sort of that. I just really like making people laugh. I also think about the pandemic. I think because there were so many funny things inside it that, like, for example, the biggest selling record during the pandemic was Wet Ass Pussy. Yeah. Which is so funny in the future. Just the idea that people are genuinely going to go, so people were dying and they were singing about drizzly growlers. That's but like, as in, it's so funny, but it's also so weirdly human. So that means that people must have been at home chopping up food, singing along to Wet Ass Pussy. Like, so there's this whole kind of sort of backdrop to that.
When you brought that up, I thought one of my favorite moments of the pandemic was when my girls played that in the car for my wife. Right. And my wife is a square. She's like a square. She doesn't laugh at Wet Ass Pussy.
Is she a square in relation to you? I mean, you're completely oblong.
Yeah. So when they played Wet Ass Pussy, I started laughing hysterically, and Leanne's like, "What is this? No, we're not. Turn this off. We're not. Girl, Isla." Like, that was Leanne.
So is your wife sort of in? Because I've seen her. I've watched your social media, and I don't think she is a square. I think she seems so giddy to be around a fucking maniac. Yeah. But there's something quite nice about that, eh? Yeah. That do you think that do you think all her mania is wrapped up in you so she can just get on and do her day?
She's not allowed a lot of space behind the boat, is what she says. Right. She goes, you cast a very large wake. Yeah. So if I can find my space, I can. What's crazy is when she gets drunk, you see a difference. You can see the side of her, the side of her that would like have sex in a field, like that kind of part of her.
Yeah. Why not?
But so when you do right. So when you work on your hour, And I would say from my tour here, you have, I don't know the right way to say this. My shows were fucking insane asylums. Like they were ole, 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 ole. I mean, it was almost like a fucking soccer or a football match.
Yeah.
And I watched your set and I was jealous. I was like, wow, man, they're like, your audience is trained. Like they're like here, like.
But it's funny because I used to do, like when I first started, all I did was banter. So like crowd work. That was just so constantly. And then I kind of got through that, and now I'm obsessed with material. And like honestly, when I was a kid, just nothing. But I don't know. It's just the way the brain. Like you were in Amsterdam recently.
Yeah.
So when I did Amsterdam, I was there with my wife, and we just walked around for like 2 days. And then when I did the show, I kind of had all this stuff that kind of came out perfectly, but it can never be funny again. That's why, you know, like I was in. So everywhere you see, it says live porno show. Yeah. Like all over, like live, where a load of tourists go to watch porno. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't want to be a prude, but when I watch porno, the last thing I'm thinking is I could do with company. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how you do it, but I'm not a chatter. Yeah. But it's just the idea of like, it's cold, isn't it? But so it's like this, but there's 3 jokes there. It's almost like I've become like a robot. Yeah. In terms of da, da, da. And then on, you know, I don't know, it's the only thing I can do. Yeah, is stand up.
So when you worked on this hour, and I'm curious because I know my process is less of organizational and more of discoverable. Like meaning, I'm certain a better comic than me could watch my hour over a weekend, and real quick go, oh, I can write the hour that you'll be doing in 18 months. I can just show you what it's going to look like. Yeah. But like when you write, I'm curious, and I've never been curious about this. But your hour is so fucking thick. Like it's just it is absolutely, I mean, hilarious beginning to end. When you work on an hour, do you write a lot of it?
Yeah. No, I kind of have bullet points. So I make bullet points and then figure it out when I go on stage. So I'll like there's a brilliant club that you have to do in the UK called Top Secret Comedy. So I go there, do sort of 20 minutes. I'm doing that at the minute for my next show and just try bits out and, you know, and then sort of things taught, you know, just little phrases. And I've got a good memory, so I can kind of recall it and then put it into sort of a shape. But also when you do a special, I kind of like the idea of trying to make it for the people at home. Whereas,
that's what I'm saying.
That's
my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing anyone's ever said on my podcast ever, because so many people make it for the people in the room. Yeah,
but but clearly what you're doing that thing on tour. You're clearly like this amazing, like Barnum and Bailey circus master that kind of creates this fucking night, and nobody can remember anything about it, and that's worth so much. Yeah, but I mean that as a compliment. There's a sort of clearly. You know, I've seen your special, I've seen the footage. The audience are going, they're as excited as you are. It's a happening, particularly after the last 2 years when we've been robbed of togetherness. But comedy specials now are they're not for the room. Like you said, they're not for the room. So it's that thing of how do you get it to the sofa? And it has to be it doesn't have to be, but it's through sort of density or just being calm. You know, you look at like Carlin, he talks to you, you know, from the 70s. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's kind of, but it means when I did that special, like, so when I actually did the show, I was kind of stood still for like the first 10 minutes, which I never have done, but in a sort of real conscious effort to kind of be still so that someone at home isn't like, somebody stop that fucking thing moving. Yeah. You know, it's sort of just trying to think about it in a different way. But
one of the things I did, it's interesting you say that because I have a very hard time.
But you've done a gig on a cruise boat.
I've done everything.
Yeah, but that is, like, to me, that is the most terrifying thing, because my brain instantly goes, if it goes badly, then you see them at the buffet.
Oh,
no, but do you know what I mean?
Do you
know there's a story about a comic who, I can't say his name, but he was doing a cruise and it went so badly, they fucking helicoptered him off.
Was it Ralphie May?
It wasn't.
Because that happened to Ralphie May too. Ralphie May did an all-black cruise. Right. The like Ricky Smile, or not? It was one of the biggest black radio shows in America, sold out.
Yeah.
Opening joke. Man, I haven't seen this many black people on a boat since the Amistad.
Right.
Pulled him off stage. Couldn't leave his room. People did not find him funny, and they had to fly him out in the Bahamas, fly him home.
But in my mind, it's like that's the word. It's just like you're halfway through the gig, and you just hear, and just the ladder comes down, and you just gotta hook away. But does that not scare you?
I've done so many what I think people would consider hell gigs. Meaning, so during the pandemic, I did a tour. I created a tour at drive-in movie theaters.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And trust me when I say it was the first one. I did my hour that I had an hour. I did it in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And so but I've done so many that now I find it hard to be put in a weird situation.
Yeah.
My challenge. And it's interesting because I just recorded my hour in November.
Oh, whereabouts?
My new special, Omaha.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who's that for?
Netflix.
Oh, amazing.
And so my challenge is not right before the special, and it's not right when I get all the material. It's this middle ground where I have to turn this circus, this fucking chaotic event into a show that is presentable on a streamer, where it is material only. It is meant for the people at home. Right before I'm about to do it, like right before I'm about to tape, those shows are amazing. But that middle ground where I haven't really figured out all the jokes, I haven't figured out everything, and I need to focus and slow things down. That's where I get in trouble. Like 8 months, 12 months onto my tour. Yeah, that's tough for me.
But how was it? You just work through that, and it's great, right?
Yeah, you just work through it, and I think sometimes like there's a better outcome. Like I had a joke about my family going to an escape room. I tell predominantly stories.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So for me, like if I can get an end of a story, I can get a story very quickly.
Yeah.
But getting
true.
the end sometimes is the hardest part. And I had one story that I had no ending to.
Yeah.
I had no ending to, and I couldn't remember. I didn't remember the story at all. My daughter brought up the story, and I had to ask them, and then everyone had a different recollection of it, and so there was a solid 4 months of telling that story where I was trying different endings.
Yeah,
and then I finally found it. And then once I found it, then I could skinny up all the other things.
Yeah. But that's the majesty of stand-up, that you just, sometimes you've just got because the audience don't really know. It's just like funny. Okay, right. Then we drift into something else. But your brain is like, cosmically, something is going to arrive. I
don't know if this is accurate, but I would have what I would consider like a sommelier's taste for comedy, in that the thing that I don't think anyone gives a shit about is the funniest thing for me. Like my favorite line in your special was, my sister's crying, my brother's laughing.
Yeah.
And immediately I go, I want to meet this family. I want to meet the mom, the dad, and then you go into but like immediately I go, I have a friend, Mike Young, who's got, it's one of my favorite jokes, and it's not a great joke. I mean, no offense, Mike, but it's he said, you ever remember you'd do dirt as a kid, and there was always one kid that was like way too dirty, like you already knew he was going to end up in jail. And he was like, you'd be like, man, we should go TP Brenda's house, and he's like, yeah, and then we should kidnap her fat dad. And like, but like those jokes where it tells you so much off of something that you're leaving on the plate.
Absolutely. But it's but also the phrase of that is, we should kidnap his fat dad, is so perfect. Like the sound of it. I love those jokes. Peter Kay is an English comic, did a brilliant, I love those lines when you were transported. So he was in Vegas, and there was a sort of a bus full of northern people. You've just been in Manchester. So bus full, and the guy gets on and goes, okay, everybody, welcome to Vegas. How are you? It's going to be an amazing time. Any questions? And the bloke at the back went, yeah, you wearing eyeliner? and you're in the bus. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's that somehow, you're wearing eyeliner. Bang.
Yeah.
Like, so that thing with that story, which is completely true, that my dad killed a rabbit in front of us.
Great.
But the reason why me and Daniel were laughing was because we had to clean that rabbit out. So even aged 9 and 7, even though it was my sister's rabbit, every Sunday we would have to kind of get rid of the paper and all the sort of, and I vividly remember, like my brother aged 7, it was like our first adult moment. And it's like a movie where he sort of looked at me and he just puts the paper down and just goes, "It's not even our rabbit." and I was like, "Yeah, fucking tell me about it." Without fucking tell me about it. I was like, "It's just the way of the world."
Yeah.
And it sort of distilled down into that one line. But yeah, it's kind of like, I find my family sort of endlessly entertaining. And like particularly my brother just...
So
like,
how old are you, the middle kid? Or
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
So yeah, so they're twins, my sister and my brother. My sister's an actress. And kind of, you know, my brother works in IT. Nobody knows really what my brother does, but he's quite famous in the world of comedy because he's been my brother for a while. Well, he's been my brother all my life. But everyone's known him. I've been doing stand-up since I was 20. So everyone's met him. You know, he's been like the kid, aged 18. How do you think that went, mate? You know, that kind of, I remember doing Newcastle Arena. There was like 7,000 people there. And my brother's like 25 at the time. And he just kind of walked on without even telling me. So it's like halfway through the gig, he just sort of sauntered on. I was like, "You all right?" And he just goes, "Yeah, gives it." And genuinely went, "Yeah, I'm his brother. I'm going out later. So if you sort of see like this level, if you see me around, then just come and say, come say hello." And then just hands me the mic. And then just wandered off. So he's kind of got balls of steel and he's so funny, but so like non-envious of my life. But just a big part. Like he used to drive me to do open mics when I was a kid. So
really?
Yeah, we'd sort of drive. I remember doing a 5-minute spot when I lived in Bristol all the way to London. So he's been there every sort of step of the way.
Where did you guys grow up?
A place called Bristol, which is in the West Country that you would love.
I think I've done a show in Bristol.
Yeah,
last year. I might have done. I think it might have been. I did the one on the beach, which is Bath. Not Bath. Is Bath
Weston-super-Mare?
Where's the bottom?
Cornwall. Bournemouth.
I don't remember.
Brighton.
I did Brighton.
Yeah.
And I did Bristol too, right? Yeah.
It's like they're good cities, but Bristol and the West Country was kind of where I'm from. There's like like a lot of my uncles look like you. They've kind of got that kind of. There's sort of twinkle in the eye. Do you know what I mean? I remember one of my uncles, it was one of my earliest memories, had a big pint of cider, and he was like, "I could drink 3 of these, kill you, and not know I'd done it," like that, and sort of downed it. So I've always been surrounded by like this family that I found so interesting, and they're so normal, and they're still like, even though I've been doing stand-up for years and I've been on telly or whatever, they're still my mates. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I can still. I still hang with them, so I'll kind of like muck around with my cousins, and I find just hanging out with them, I find more interesting than hanging out with famous people because, my cousin, I can't say his name, but he has a shadow. So he basically goes, "It's not me, it's the shadow. I hope the shadow doesn't come out tonight." And sure enough, the shadow does come out. Yeah.
Oh, no, this is going to sound super, almost like I've never it's going to sound like I read about England in a book. Yeah. But like, did you grow up in like a cottage with sheep around?
No, I grew up in
like an apartment or a house.
No, in a house. So okay. I grew up in. So we had a 2 up, 2 down, which is a 2 up, 2 down is two rooms downstairs, 2 up sort of vibe. And then my dad got a better job, and then we went to like a 3-bedroom house and we had a field outside our field. So that's kind of where, but there were sheep outside. So but we didn't own the sheep. Yeah. But it was kind of like a little sort of dull village.
Was like a pub in it?
Yep. So it had 4 pubs, and we used to do a thing called the pram race once a year as a village, where everyone would get a pram. And you would have a partner.
What's a pram?
A pram is like, where you put a kid, like a stroller.
Stroller, yeah.
So an old-fashioned stroller, somebody goes in it for a bit, you push him along, and then you have to stop at a pub and down a pint, even if you're a child. And then you have to stop at 3 pubs, and then it's a 2-mile circuit where you push each other in a pram. and a lot of people got robbed on the day of the pram race because everyone was out. Yeah. So it was.
Do they still do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to do that,
mate. You'd love it. But
I think that would be one of my. That would be that's.
It sounds like how you get home.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been driving through the English countryside.
Yeah.
We've been on a tour bus.
Yeah.
And we look, and it was maybe the best tour bus. I live on tour buses, but this is the best tour bus I've ever been on.
Yeah.
And because it had a double decker and it had a big window where you could look out, and we just sat and so I've been fantasizing about what people's lives are like. And so, and then you drive through London, and you see, like, I go, where do people live? And so, but where I'd want to live is a place that has a few pubs. It's a small town, and you got a house, and you got a lot of grass and some hills and pram races. That sounds fucking idyllic. Did you wear a uniform to school?
Yes.
This is everything I wanted it to be.
You didn't wear a uniform?
No, we had to wear a tie during the winter, and then collared shirt during and slacks, like khakis or whatever.
No, we had, like, I think it was a proper, so we'd have a thing called Mufti Day twice a year where you're allowed to wear whatever you want. And that was the worst day of the year because these self-appointed connoisseurs of fashion would criticize what you wore. And it was this moment where you realized that you were poor or unfashionable.
Oh, wow.
I remember having a pair of Nike Air Jordans, right? Which is the coolest thing you can get when you're 11. But I bought them off my friend's little brother for a $5, and it was 2 sizes too small for me, and I wore it to Free Dress Day, Mufti Day, because I knew that would give me, and I literally walked around like a fucking geisha, just so I wasn't kind of mocked by. So weirdly, having a school uniform was the best thing. Otherwise, you would just rinse. There was a kid at our school that used to go every Free Dress Day. He would go dressed as a jockey, and because he had no money, he just had a jockey costume. Yeah, and every year you'd see him on the bus, and you're like, mate, it's going to happen again. You've got to just go with something other than a jockey. And sure enough, he'd rock up, get beaten up. God. But
did you guys have money growing up?
No. So we had. My dad got a better job aged, how old were we? When I was like 16, he kind of did quite well. And then, but it was sort of too late. So we used to have the same clothes, and my mum used to cut my hair.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it? And you're rich now, right?
Yeah, I'm all right, yeah. But we can talk amongst friends.
Yeah.
But I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams in my world, yeah. But let alone, the actual world, yeah. And my wife's a doctor, and that's the most fucked up thing.
Is she Indian?
Is she Indian?
Yeah.
No.
I'm so attracted to Indian women. I have no fucking idea. I never met really Indian women growing up. I grew up in Florida.
Yeah.
First time I ever met an Indian chick, I was in New York, and I was like just blown away. And but obviously I married a fucking white chick, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. I thought I was nailing him out of the park. Did you wear a uniform? Did you have a sheep? And then is she Indian? What kind of doctor?
She works in elderly care and acute medicine. So yeah, she was very busy during COVID.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so it's kind of, but the point I was going to make, the absurdity is that, I earn more money than her, and she's a doctor. Think of all the important things she can do versus you and me, whose job is to sit and think and then say it later. But do you know what I mean? Do you know the worst time is when she takes a day off work and watches what I do, because you just sort of sat there going, yeah, I'll say that later.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Prices are skyrocketing in this country, including rent. I'm telling you right now's the time to buy a home. And I only know that because my wife says so. I don't know anything about buying homes. I really don't know anything other than just stand up. Make this year the year that you stop renting and buy your first home. I highly recommend checking out the How to Buy a Home podcast now. This is the kind of podcast I go to. Buying a home can be overwhelming. The idea of it, so much so that you just go, ugh. Start listening to this podcast now and start getting the foundation blocks to build yourself your future. This is how you will maintain money for the rest of your life by buying a home. Host David Sidoni has years of experience helping first-time home buyers close on houses they thought were impossible, even as the housing market went bonkers. His How to Buy a Home podcast is a free resource that breaks down what you need to know to make buying a home a reality. Like, do you really need to put 20% down? I put 20% down on my first house. I don't know what we I don't even know. Will a mortgage be more than your current monthly rent? Oh, it shouldn't be because I don't know what the answer. No, it says probably not. I know that because that's what Leanne said. She goes, honey, if we can't afford to pay for this house, we can't afford to live in LA. And we need to reassess what you're doing for a living. Do you need an 800 credit score? I don't even know what that is. David can guide you through the next steps that are right for you. He can even connect you with a great realtor in your town that works with first-time home buyers and actually cares about you. Start listening to How to Buy a Home podcast today at howtobuyahome.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a question? Ask David directly at howtobuyahome.com. Visit howtobuyahome.com and make this year the last year you rent. Support for our podcast today comes from True Classic. As a people-driven brand, True Classic believes that clothes you wear should make you feel confident and comfortable so you can show up as the best version of yourself every single day. How many times do you put on clothes and not feel like you're the best version of yourself? That's every time I put on a shirt. If you look at me on any show when I raise my hand to the audience, my belly pops out. This is your one-stop shop for all your wardrobe essentials. Their shirts have a premium fit that's tighter on the shoulders and biceps for us jack dudes. That little extra boost of confidence. From t-shirts and polos to activewear, denims, button-downs, hoodies, joggers, boxer briefs, and everything in between. They have everything you need. Time to upgrade your wardrobe today. Buy clothes that make you feel confident. And these True Classic shirts are fantastic. They're soft, they're affordable, but they are tight on the arms, tight on the shoulders. So the best part of you shows out. And I've found that they've got a little more of a consistent fit with my belly. Companies have been overcharging their customers for years. True Classic sells premium clothing without charging a premium price. High quality clothing shouldn't cost a fortune. You don't need to sacrifice comfort for style. Their products were created with signature soft fabric blends and contemporary cuts that fuse the two. It's more than a t-shirt company. You can run, train, and recover with their versatile performance essentials. Their activewear crew necks have the same flattering fit as their classic tees, and they're sweat wicking and odor controlling, so you can feel good about working out hard. Pair it with a quick dry pair of shorts or joggers to complete the look. Get comfortable, get going, and upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the code BERT. Free shipping is included on purchases over $100, 100% risk-free, guaranteed with a 30-day return policy. You can't go wrong. It's look good, feel good season. My daughter's...
How do you possibly tell your daughters to not pursue the wild road that you're on?
It's so funny. It's very easy.
Really?
Yeah, I tell them it doesn't work out for everyone.
Right.
I have a lot of friends, so do you, that it didn't work out for, that are very talented. And you can hear everyone's speech about hard work and you just got to show up. You just got to do it every day and don't give up on your dreams. But I know a lot of guys that work hard, that are very talented, that it didn't work for. And some of them got in their own way. And some of them didn't know they were getting in their own way. And maybe I got in my own way that I didn't know. But I know a lot of people. See, I was very lucky that I didn't find success in stand-up until I was 44.
How old are you now?
I'm 50.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't, at 44 is when my career turned a corner and I started selling out clubs. And then...
Wow, so you've only been selling out clubs for 6 years.
Yeah. I've been doing stand-up for 25 years.
Wow.
But, I was making $1,300 a week, was like forever doing headlining, but just doing like 35 clubs a year, 40 clubs a year, maybe more. And doing one-nighters. And I remember, I had it drilled in my head. I'm a $900 comic. I'm worth $900.
Yeah,
that was like drilled in your head, is that, and then you go to like $1,500, $2,000. And then when I was 44, just the world kind of changed a little bit.
Why?
I think social media became a real marketing tool.
Right.
And podcasting really started to turn the corner, and I happen to be friends with all the biggest podcasters in the world. Yeah. And so I got very lucky in that sense. And then my podcast kind of took off in that time, and Netflix found me, and then it goes so quickly. You say in 6 years to go from literally selling out a club. I sold out the Wilbur in Boston 6 years ago, and I was blown away.
Yeah.
1,100 seats, 1,200 seats.
It's so funny, isn't it? I remember the first time I did a tour, and the first time it's a place called the Canterbury Gulbenkian. It's a 340-seater, and I sold it out, and it was one of the greatest nights of my life because I just couldn't believe, 340 people were there to see you, and it was one of the best gigs I'd ever done. It was the most money I'd ever earned from a gig. It was one of those kind of, and it's so funny, isn't it? How you can remember the Wilbur, I can remember the Gulbenkian, like those gigs where you're like, this is ground zero.
It's funny you say that.
Go.
I wonder if I was talking to Louis C.K. the other day about this, and we had the same feeling. I sold out the Wilbur, and I wasn't supposed to sell out the Wilbur.
What did it say on your ticket, Kevin Hart or something?
No. We had booked it. They had booked it in, say, August for me.
Yeah.
For January, the end of January. And I wasn't tracking to sell it out at all.
Right.
And I had a story go viral.
Is that The Machine?
Yeah, The Machine went viral over the holidays, over Christmas. And I happened to be doing a weight loss challenge with my buddy Tom.
Yeah.
And we were doing the results 3 days in a row on Rogan. And this is just, that perfect storm of everything collides at once. And then January 2nd, January 4th, the Wilbur sold out. And I went, wow. And then I got back there, and this is what I was talking to Louis about. I was backstage at the Wilbur. The place is going crazy. And I was by myself. And I was like, I don't have anyone to high five. I just did this.
Yeah.
I don't really have anyone to celebrate with.
Yeah.
I go, I guess this, and there's a weird deflating feeling when you're like, way to go, big guy. Yeah. You did it. I mean, I'd done all these marketing things to try to help sell the Wilbur. But I find it even in your most, I really, really, really search for the flavor of appreciation in great moments, where I Dublin. Dublin was a really great show.
Where did you do? Vicar Street or the Arena?
I don't know. Where did I? Conor McGregor's place. Same place Conor McGregor. I ran into Conor McGregor and he goes, we both sold out the O2?
Okay, yeah, so it's the Arena. Yeah.
O2 or O3 maybe?
It's the three
it's
Arena.
The O3 He goes, mate, we both sold it out. And I said, yeah. But when I got done that show, it was maybe one of the craziest shows I've ever done in my entire fucking life. And I get done, and it's a standing ovation that I think I get a lot of them, but that was one I really earned.
Yeah.
And I close my eyes and I try to feel that feeling, so that I can remember it. Because then, and this is what Louis and I were talking about, is that it's hard to remember those moments.
Yeah, man.
The moments you remember the weird ones.
But you have to force yourself. Weirdly, a friend of mine who was my I did a travel show with my mum for we did 5 series, and our sound guy was a bloke called Joe Maggio, right? An American guy. He was brilliant, and we had this kind of bromance. He was kind of older. He was like a father figure. We just clicked. So when me and mum weren't filming, me and him would go off, and we were in Thailand and India and Korea and Japan. It was just the best. You would love it. He lives in New York. And when I got married, he came on my stag do, so a bachelor party. He came to Vegas, and he tried to keep up with all of my cousins who were younger. And he ended up in a wheelchair that night. And because we played football and then got drunk, but he persevered on. We were pushing around in this wheelchair, and he's like, I'm fine, but I could do with the seat. He flew back to New York, felt really strange, and was like, I've got to go to the hospital here. And he texted his family saying that he loved them. He went to the hospital. He had a pulmonary embolism, which is like a blockage that was on its way to his heart. He was rushed into the hospital. He was given the last rites by a priest, which he ushered him away like that, which is one of the most badass moments. Now, he had always wanted to do stand-up. So I knew I was doing the New York Town Hall. A year later, after this happened, I said, go and do some open mics in New York, find your feet, and come and do 5 minutes before me. So that's what we did. And he came on stage. He said, have you got any advice? And I said, you have to be there because this will never happen again.
Yeah.
And he literally walked on stage, went, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joe Maggio. And it's big roar. And I could see him just go. And he took it in.
Oh.
And then had a great show. And then at the end of the night, I kind of told the audience what happened. And then it was like, went bananas. But you're so right. You have to really force it and try and just feel it, because otherwise you can't. Because your brain, we're in stand-up, such a fight or flight thing, isn't it? That you don't have those moments to go, this is going great, because you have to be thinking about the next ball to pop,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Even when, like in a special, when you're doing well, when you're filming.
Oh, you can't enjoy a special. No one. Has anyone ever enjoyed a special, do you think? I bet even Richard Pryor.
I know that I've had one special when I did Secret Time. I fucking bombed my first show.
Right.
And I had murdered this set so much. And on my second show, I was a lot of pressure on me. And I went and I got to a certain point in my set and I was like, this is going really well. This is going really, really well. If you don't fuck this up, you might have a good special.
Yeah, right.
But it wasn't until I got to the very, very end. You don't want to like count all your eggs, you know?
Yeah.
I got to the very end, I said my last line and I put the mic down. I was like, I did it. That's the moment where you go. And I remember I ran off stage and I hugged my agent, but I hugged him so quick, he thought I was going to hit him. I was like, we did it. But yeah, those moments, because you're like, there is an energy. If you start sucking your dick too fast, then they feel it.
God, that's a good sentence.
Yeah.
If you suck your dick too fast, they feel it.
That's
a great title for that's what your next special should be called. How does you looking quizzical?
Yeah. I had a great line I said the other day. We were talking about a comic. Wish I could remember who it was. We were talking about a comic, and I said, "Oh, don't suck your own dick and try to tell me it's yoga." Like,
I love phrases that feel like they've been around forever.
Yeah.
But they're so that sounds like the thing my mum would say if my brother complained about broccoli instead of carrots.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, don't suck your own dick and tell me it's yoga.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, stop your nonsense.
Yeah.
But I love that. Yeah.
So what was the trajectory of your career? You started at 20?
So I started.
Were you in college?
Yeah. So I started at university.
Where'd you go to school?
I went Bristol.
Oh, so, yeah. Right there.
Yeah. So I did economics and I used to kind of just do gigs. So, that thing, first time I did an open spot, I was like, right, this is me. Mm-hmm. And then kind of just did it all the way through uni and then came to London and just open mics. And
who's in your class? I don't know. I know the most sporadic British comics.
Who do you know? So
I could say their names and I'll tell you. I know Steve Hughes.
Steve, yeah, he's Australian.
Yeah, Australian. He's Australian. Yeah. I know Steve. I mean Jim Jeffries, obviously.
Australian. Yeah. You don't know that many British comics. Who else? Who else?
Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy is English. Yeah.
Andre.
No.
What's Andre? His
Andre
brother?
Vincent.
Yeah, Andre Vincent.
Hey, you know Andre?
I know Andre and his brother Bert.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I guess
Alistair Berry.
Yeah. Wow.
Hold on. I knew a bunch. I did some tours. I did some stuff over here.
Yeah.
When I was younger.
Yeah.
But I know like Kai, and they're Scottish comics.
Yeah.
I know some of them, but
so I guess in terms of people I came up with. So the class ahead of me was Daniel Kitson.
I know Daniel Kitson.
John Oliver.
I know John Oliver. I know John Oliver. Yeah. That's your guy's famous, right?
Yeah. So John, I used to support John at university gigs. So that was kind of my first big break when I was probably about 22. So we did all the universities around the UK. So I used to support John and Kitson, which was sort of looking back on it. It's like opening for like
Daniel Sloss and Jack Whitehall. I know them too.
So Jack would be probably sort of the year below me, as it were. But yeah, so we all kind of came up. Danny Boy, do you know Danny?
Yeah.
So Danny, yeah. So
yeah.
That was kind of my year group, and then we all sort of came up together.
Ed Byrne,
yeah, Ed. So Ed was like way ahead of everybody. He was like the first sort of British comic that went. He's Irish rather.
Yeah.
And Yeah.
I was looking at mattresses. That's not his accent. What's an Irish accent? Do you know this joke?
I don't, but an Irish accent wouldn't be that. Try it again. Go on.
Hello. Top of the morning. I was looking at me mattresses. Yeah, that's it.
That's clearly it. Yeah.
I was looking at mattresses with me girl. And I said, that could sleep 3. And that's all me said. I'm fucking this joke up. It was me and Patrice's favorite joke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's a really funny joke. I'm fucking it up, ruining it. But the whole premise was we were looking at mattresses, and they said, the lady was like, this is a big one. And he looked at his girlfriend, and he goes, it could fit 3. As if he's like, we should fucking
get somebody else.
Run a train on someone.
Run trade?
Yeah, like have another dude come fuck you, I'll fuck you in the mouth. You fuck. No, that's what Patrice and I, it's called running a train. If it's 2 dudes.
It's running a train.
2 dudes is running a train, 2 girls is a threesome.
Running a train. Yeah. Right, okay. Wow.
2 girls is a threesome. 2 dudes. That turned into a conversation with Patrice. I was one of the fucking hardest I've ever laughed. I don't know. I can't remember how this turned about. But he asked his chick if she'd be interested in the threesome. And she said yes, she's done it before. And he was like, nice. And he's like, tell me about it. And she was like, it was 2 dudes. And he goes, bitch, that's running a train. They ran a train on you. You didn't have a threesome. A threesome's when it's 2 girls and me. It's very misogynistic. Yeah. Anyway.
It's I think what's interesting about like sort of the comics you pick up on is like that special, Elephant in the Room. But that's the amazing thing about kind of comedy now. It's
you had a joke about that in your special. I love that. I love how many different skill sets you have. You are really like, if in an MMA scenario, you're a kid who started in Taekwondo, learned jiu-jitsu, but now you're a legit boxer. It's a quick, easiest way to say you have a ton of skill sets in what you do.
That's very sweet. I'm English. It's difficult to respond to compliments. Oh. But that's very nice.
Go back to what you were saying. I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, but it's that thing of like, I think that's what I love. So at the minute, we live in this sort of golden era of stand-up. It's everywhere. Whereas when we were kids, it was that, so I'm 43, it'd be that thing where you go,
God, you look good.
Thanks, man. But it was that thing that you had to find it. You'd have to go to a record shop. You'd have to get it, and you'd sort of like, you'd get Arizona Bay, or you'd get like Frank Skinner.
Bay.
Arizona Bay is one of the greats, man.
As you said that, that is the one album I was looking for when I moved to New York.
Yeah, man.
And I got it, and it's fucking brilliant.
Because it's so, like, the thing about Hicks is that everyone focuses on like the anger. That's such a silly, like the routine about hooligans, or the
crucifix, isn't that one on it? Yeah, he goes, I'm not sure if that's the first thing he's going to want to see when you get there.
Exactly. Oh. But it's kind of...
Do you think JFK's mom, Jackie's like, oh, a shotgun to the head?
Yeah, man. But it's kind of playful, that whole special. And I think that's what... I can't remember the point of this, but it's that thing of like someone like Patrice, or like... I came to Bill Burr quite late. See, that's the amazing thing. As a comic that had been around for ages... You know, you suddenly... I remember watching a special of his going, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't known. Like, and that's what's so cool, is the fact that you've been to Manchester, you've been to Dublin, you've been to Amsterdam. It's such a weird world for us at the minute that we can not only do gigs in our own country, but I can do a gig in New York, and I can have my dying mate open for me. But and it's fun, and it's kind of... I don't subscribe to that idea that things are tough at the minute. I was thinking about like Lenny Bruce, and Lenny Bruce performed in the 50s at burlesque clubs. So he followed naked women. That's a difficult gig. Like, have you ever said anything that you think is more entertaining than a naked lady? The Machine is a great story, but I guarantee you could be 2 minutes through that and somebody would be like, can we bring the naked lady back on? But do you know what I mean? I think we can kind of get caught up in, it's really tough, but it really isn't, man.
I think when they look back at comedy, this moment in comedy will be the best comedy's ever been, ever.
It's banging, man.
And I think it's because there is I say this, I'm hesitating to say it at all, because I don't technically subscribe to the idea of cancel culture as a real thing with comedy, because I think great comedy stands in the face of it and puts a flower in the gun as a hippie kind of.
Yeah.
And I think the idea that people do subscribe to it, that there's a group of people that believe it and are trying to cancel things, I think that makes comedy so much fucking fun.
Oh, I love that phrase as well, though. That like flower in the gun is just the perfect. That's what the best joke about something difficult is. It's a flower in the gun, and you go, okay, well, that's that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just.
What was your joke you said you won't like? Oh, the Michael Jackson joke. Yeah, like I love.
But that was true. Again, that's sort of true. It's like, I meant, like, there's no way my mum would have let me go to Neverland.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't have happened. And I'd have been desperate to get there. You know.
Yeah.
But,
by the way, yeah, I would have let him molest me.
but that's the thing. It's just like, I don't know. I just really, I don't know. I just love writing jokes. It's like the minute I'm in this sort of process of writing a special, writing a new set, and it's just the best. You know, when you're just trying to, but you know that thing where you just kind of.
It's mine right here.
Yeah, right, man.
Oh, I know. I'm curious. How do you go about it? Because I feel like I am somewhat planting seeds on a beach where I go, I don't think these will ever fucking grow.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day you're like, oh wait, shut up.
Yeah.
So, but how do you go? Like, you're working on a new hour. What do you feel like a guy? Like, you strike me as like a guy like John Mulaney.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like very fucking smart, very fucking funny, smarter than like just like almost like you and Mulaney strike. That's what I thought the entire time was like, oh, this is like you. They're both better at this than I am, and they're just. This is all coming naturally to them.
Yeah, I find stand-up relatively, like I find who is it? I was talking to Tim Minchin. I think it's that thing, and you definitely have this, and it's that thing that the longer you've been going, when you're talking to an audience, your brain kicks in where you're like, fucking hell, you better say something funny now.
Yeah.
And it's that if you're kind of calm enough, you'll find it. So when you tell a story, the jokes will naturally come. But you've just got to go, you've got to have the courage to go on with the seed and say, so for example, I've got this thing which has no end, but I think it's so funny and I can't figure it out. But when we were kids, our mum announced one day that we needed to get our dog, Jess, pregnant. And so as a family, we went down to this farm after school, and I was 12 and my brother and sister were 10, and we watched Jess get like nailed by this farm dog. And it was like, I don't know if you've ever seen dogs, but it's like Beauty and the Beast is a vicious lie, because Lady and the Tramp, rather, there was no spaghetti. It was like, you know, it was like harrowing. And then we sort of drove home.
Makes Harvey Weinstein look like a fucking prince.
It was really, I really remember the farmer started making small talk with me. So he's like, so how's school going? And I'm like, well, not great, obviously. I'm not going to be able to, and then we're driving home and Mum's like, but it was like that scene in The Big Lebowski, you know, when they're all kind of there with the In-N-Out burger, we're all kind of sort of just utterly shocked, and Mum's like, so what does everyone want for tea? And I was like, you got anything that makes your memory go? So that's kind of, but that's kind of where it ends. Yeah. But it's so, at the minute, it's too weird for people. So it just needs, but you know the thing where you've got it has to have in terms of when you're working out stuff, you've got stuff that's really easy to digest.
I wish I had that joke. I wish I had that joke. Oh, that's so fucking great.
But it's so funny when you see stuff like, oddly, it's funny you mentioned Mulaney. I went to watch him the other day with my friend.
Was he here?
Yeah, he was here Wednesday. I've never seen him live before.
He was
unbelievable. But it was really great. But it was, a friend of mine said what he loves about stand-up, he loves it when it's ambitious and finished. And I just think that is, like, none of us are there, are we? But that's where we all want to get to.
Yeah.
But that's why you don't need to make notes, but you want to make notes, because we all know deep down that we've got this, you can feel it on the tip of your tongue. You can feel this perfect thing that kind of illuminates the world and makes everyone laugh. And if there's a better way of doing life, I haven't found it. Like, no. But do you know what I mean? It's that thing. Yeah. But you can literally go to a room and have a thought and say it and it explodes and then it's forgotten. It's a freaky superpower, isn't it? And then you kind of go back to your normal life, and that's kind of tricky to readjust. And then you kind of enjoy your normal life, and then, you know.
Yeah. It's God, that's
so you must have loads of stuff like that, because you remind me of my friend Richie. Is it that thing because they're stories? Do you find yourself having run out of, is that the fear that you've kind of run out of stories, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think at a certain point, my fear isn't, this sounds really crazy, but there was a period of time where my wife would schedule vacations so I get material.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I think we need to go to Bali. And I'm like, for real? She was like, yeah, I think taking the girls snorkeling, that would be pretty funny. And it was that anything.
Where does that end though? It ends with you wearing your trunks, going out into the night, just camo on, just like, I need to get mugged.
Oh God! And so my thing now, where I'm at a little bit of a wall is Georgia's in college.
Right.
So any event I have is just me and Isla. And Georgia was kind of like the producer of comedy. It's hard to say. Like I think Isla got all the jokes in my set, but Georgia was the one that would point out the fucking lunacy of what was happening.
Right.
She had a really grounded perspective. I have a joke that I've during the pandemic, Isla and I have impulse problems, like really bad impulse problems. And Isla, I was drinking, and Isla grabbed my phone, and she was like, "How much do you think a refrigerator costs?" And I was like, "Huh?" She was like, "For like a baby fridge." And I go, "I don't know, $150." And she goes, "If I told you they were $87, how many would you buy?" I was like, 4. And she goes, "Done, son." Clicks them, and then 4 fridges showed up. And the funniest part of that whole thing was Georgia walking into the house, shit-eating grin, going, "I think your package has arrived, Mom." And look at me, and she goes, "She is not going to be happy, Mom." And Leanne came out and was there were 4 fucking Tyrion Lannister-sized refrigerators sitting on our front fucking porch. And me and Isla were like, "Oh, sweet." But like Georgia was always the one who would be like, "Dad, front yard, you have to see what's happening."
Yeah.
And then because Isla was this, and all my material was about them. Now Georgia's gone. Isla's 16. She has, I will say this, she has definitely taken control of how I represent her. She is definitely. She was like, "Yo, you can't just." She said some fucked up shit that I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
And like there was one joke I had in the special, and she was like, "You got to pull it out." She goes, "I'm not going to be the one person that says that." And I go, "You said it though." She goes, "Yeah, but I said it to you as a secret."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Fuck." So
but that's what makes you a good human, man, because we all know people that don't. And at what cost? That's the thing. It's like, there is not a comic alive who hasn't had a bit that is really superb, but like, I've got a wife who's a doctor. She's told me incredible stories about patients. Like incredible. But it's just that thing to the point where some of them are so good. I'm like, just don't tell me. Yeah. But I will never betray it. Because it's, it's the Hippocratic Oath and all that. But do you know what? See, this is the thing. It's so funny you say about trying to, if I took hold of you to try and edit it. So instantly my brain, how old is Georgia?
Georgia now is 18.
So she's 18. So basically, if you were to tell the audience, you're like, I feel like I've lost my kind of cornerstone because she was there. And the problem is you can replace many things in life, but it's not like you can just wander up to a 17-year-old and go, "Yeah, I need a 17-year-old. No, it's not like that. Yeah. I just need you to watch me and say funny things about Ma, you know what I mean? But there's something really funny about like losing that and how you can never get it back. And do you know what I mean? It's sort of that there's such an interesting dive into, clearly there's a show about, it's funny what you miss, that you think it would be the hug, you think it would be the kiss, you think it'd be a chat. Yeah. What you miss is an accomplice. Yeah. Or somebody to chide you, or do you know what I mean? It's kind of.
I remember Isla's birthday one year. We ended up getting her an exotic snake show, She wanted an exotic pet show.
Yeah.
But I had set it up that they were going to bring her favorite animal as a fennec fox.
A fennec fox?
Yeah, it's a little tiny fox. It's a wild animal that you can get. They're really expensive.
Yeah.
There's a lady in San Diego who had fennec foxes. Yeah. And they were going to do a wild pet show. And at the very end, they were going to pull out a fennec fox. And then she was going to give it to Isla as a pet that Isla could keep. And I hadn't cleared it with Leanne, and I ran it by Georgia. Georgia might have been 12. And she looked at me and she goes, I want you to think this through, Dad. She goes, you're going to give Isla a wild animal. And I went, yeah. She goes, Dad, hold on. Isla, Mom wouldn't buy Isla a dog, but you're going to get her a wild animal. And I go, yeah. And she goes, have you run this by Mom? I said, no. And she goes, I would definitely run it by Mom. I go, no, Mom will kill it. She goes, because Dad, we don't want a wild animal in this house. And I go, Georgia, why are you being such a fucking square? I go, it's going to be fun. And she goes, and I go, worst case scenario, we don't have it. It doesn't work. We just give it back to the lady. And she goes, okay, now you're going to give her a wild animal and then take it away from her. And I'm like arguing with a 12-year-old. I remember having arguments with Georgia where I go, hey, we're going to Tom and Sandy's tonight. She's like, I think we should take the night off. And I'm like, whoa. You're fucking 12. You don't tell me we're not going out tonight. I mean, the kid, I ended up talking to her on the phone last night for an hour. Weird as fuck. Like, she called me out of nowhere. We talked on the phone for an hour. But yeah, I think I'm missing this kid in my life, and I'm having a hard time creating, because I could create with all these characters that all had voices.
You've lost Jiminy Cricket, man. But you've lost your conscience.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's that thing of like, that's an amazing relationship to kind of, to have literally, given that you are something of a cannonball.
Yeah.
To have this kind of woo.
Yeah.
Woo. It's just and that person is your child.
Oh.
Like, but it's so funny that, and now she's at college and you should be protecting her. And you should be warning her. But you're like, I need you to come home to tell me no. But do you know what I mean? There's so much, I don't know, like, that's what I mean. I find family so...
Your family fascinates me.
Yeah.
I'm dying to hear this fucking... I can't wait for your next special to hear this fucking dog fucking story.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll get it in. And
it's gonna be I'm jealous. Immediately, I'm jealous that I never took a dog to go fuck another dog. And that is so rich for me. That is so rich.
Yeah.
That is so fucking rich.
But it's the randomness of it. It wasn't planned. And this is pre-internet. So it's not like, you know, it was arranged. It's like she hasn't like emailed somebody.
Why did your mom want the dog to get pregnant?
I have no idea. But it was like this impulse thing. But she must have, like, it must have been like a notice board at a supermarket, you know, and it was where I delivered my papers. I had a paper round. So I would deliver, and it was a weird farm as well. It was like, and there was a bloke that lived around the back that used to have like porn all over his house. So it was like a real no-go area. And then we pull up on this sort of dusty track and you're like, this is not the place.
God.
And but she had 6 lovely pups.
Really? And what did you sell them?
Yeah. No, we gave them away. And then we kept 2 of them. And one of them jumped out of the family car and lost an eye. But
that's it?
Survived until he was 9 and then died. And my mum said when he died, age 9, because my mum and dad had a villa in Spain. She said, he made it to Spain and there's not many dogs that could say that. And we had a funeral for him. And it was... Yeah, like something about weirdly, I really like funerals. That sounds really creepy, but what I love about them
too.
is
I like them a lot.
They remind you of how lucky you are to have the blood of the same people in there. You know what I mean? You're so proud. Yeah. You're proud to belong. You know, and it's like even at my nan and granddad's funeral, they died very close to each other. So the first time, my cousin
suicide pact.
Yeah. So, but that's what I mean. It's that like that. But that's the joke, eh? But that's the brilliant thing about stand-up, that you just go. There will always be a way of you knew the tension needed popping, so you popped it. But so my granddad died, and it was very sad. And we're all there, and at the corner of my eye, I see my cousin Stuart. And Stuart is wearing a leather jacket, and it's like an 80s leather jacket, and everyone's like, sad and looking over, and we're carrying my granddad, and my brother said, "Nice jacket, Stu." That was all he said. And that thing where there was just no one laughed.
Yeah.
But there was kind of a wobble. And we put granddad down, and then my nan a few months later, and again he rocks up with the same fucking and it's that moment of like sort of togetherness in the sadness.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, I think families are such a rich vein of laughter and sort of togetherness, and they're uncomfortable and yet they're interesting, and I just love blending that with the real world and sort of smushing it together. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. My grandmother's funeral, they had a slideshow of all these pictures, and the slideshow maybe it took like 10 minutes to play out, and then it would repeat. And all the pictures they posted of my sister Annie were from her fat phase,
right,
at like 13 when she was overweight.
Yeah.
And my sister Cotty, Cotty's like the funniest out of all of us, without a doubt.
Yeah,
Cotty is the funniest. My sister Cotty is every time they show a picture of Annie, she'd be like, "Ooh," and we're at a funeral, and they keep coming up, and then it repeats, and it starts off. It repeats. The first picture is a picture of Annie fat, and Annie just goes, "Who put this slideshow?" But we were sitting at that funeral. I had to really see. I find moments. Sometimes I get tripped up. But what time do you have to get out of here, by the way?
I'm fine, man.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm all good.
Sometimes I get tripped up, and what I find to be really rich moments that I'm looking for the comedy in, but they are, like at that funeral, I cried, and my dad pulled me aside, and he said, "Don't fucking cry." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Don't fucking cry." He was like, "You're a man. Fucking pull it together." I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Your daughters are sitting right there. They're going to watch you cry, and then they don't have a leader. So fucking swallow it. Swallow it." He goes, "What are you so sad about?" I go, "Grandma died." And he goes, "She lived a great life. She's 87 years old. This is what you want. You should celebrate her life. Be happy for her." And then I tried saying, I was like, "Yeah, but she doesn't look happy in that box." He's like, my dad goes, "Are you fucking retarded? Do you want her smiling? Did you want them to have her smiling in that box? Do you have any idea how awkward that would be?" He goes, "Pull it together. Fucking keep it together." So at the end of the funeral, everyone leaves. My dad and my Uncle Jerry grab me, and they pull me aside, and they go, "Come on." I go, "What?" And they go, "Let's say goodbye to Grandma." And then the three of us go, and I watch these two grown men cry. Like all that shit they held in through there, it just, and it was the most uncomfortable moment I've ever had in my life. I always have moments like that where I go, it's so rich with information. It's so rich with experience. Then I go, do I lose it by trying to add levity? Do I lose does that make sense?
Yeah. But yes, I see what you mean. It's such an interesting thing. It's like when things really matter to you, there's something tricky when they become routines. And then you go, "Oh, this routine is really funny, but it isn't the truth somehow." But you know what I mean? But that story is so. See, I think that's such a funny examination of being a man. But also it calls into question. I was thinking, like with your nan, like, geez. So there must have been statistically people that have died in a happy state. So then the funeral directors must have like looked at like let's say an old lady died having sex, and she's like that. Like they must have had to kind of put there's so much kind of comedy, physical comedy in that moment of like when your dad's like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" But that's such a funny scene. Just the idea of them trying to kind of shut the eyes and make her, her hands are like that of like.
We've got a friend who has a resting bitch face.
Right.
And how are they going to fix that in a coffin?
Yeah,
she's just going to be like,
how miserable is she going to look dead?
Yeah,
fuck, man.
This podcast is brought to you by Lumen. Lumen is a skincare brand for men with products that keep your face clean while helping reducing the signs of aging. You know, I never cared about aging. I never cared because I was young. And then all of a sudden you start noticing you're aging, and it's like a foot's in the grave. And to take that foot out of the grave is fantastic. And you can do that with their anti-fatigue essential bundle, which includes products like Dark Circle Defense, a daily dose of the best under eye cream. Dude, check out my under eye game right now. Looks awesome, right? It's because I used the Defense this morning, so I was going to do Rich Eisen. Charcoal cleanser, you got to stop using that harsh, dirty bar of soap on your face. Their skin detoxifying charcoal cleanser removes grime while keeping your skin's pH balance. This exfoliating formula helps oily skin, removes dead skin, excessive skin, and repairs damaged skin. Their moisturizing balm, built to target dullness and dryness. Your face will feel more hydrated while looking more refreshed than ever. And their exfoliating rub, the non-irritating, less abrasive exfoliant with a combination of charcoal and green tea, deeply cleanses the skin, removes dead skin, and brightens uneven skin. Thousands trust Lumen with their skin because it just works. It has over 5,000 five-star reviews. Lumen's so confident that their product will work, they're offering a 30-day free trial. Getting started is easy. Go to lumenskin.com, take their 2-minute online quiz, and they will recommend the right product for your specific case. Bertcast listeners get a free gift with the code BERT. Take them up on that, guys. Working long hours and traveling a lot can make you look tired. Lumen can help reduce fine lines and eye bags. Okay, so that's what I think you're so good at. Because I get stuck in the moment as opposed to looking at the moment and analyzing how I could turn that moment into a bit and spin it out. I get stuck in the fucking truth of the story. I think I get stuck in the truth.
Yeah.
Because so often a story I tell is true that I go, well, if I veer too off, I lose it.
Yeah. But so it's about like not losing the truth, but sort of embellishing what it's sort of seeing the avenues. But your dad is so funny, but he's not trying to be funny. Yeah. He's generally going, you're out of your fucking mind. Yeah. But it's so funny that he's opened up this world in which you go, geez, man, what do they do if she dies happy? Or they must have looked at the face and just gone, fuck, man, it's not, I don't know. It's just, there's a smirk or there's...
But it's just a guy going, no, a little.
Yeah.
That's too happy.
But that's what, exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean of like, no, like man, but that's what I mean. But you don't lose the truth of it. But that's what I mean about courage.
Before she died, we were all in the hospital and my dad and my uncle were both holding it together. I don't know why I'm thinking of this. This is the funniest thing that happened over that period. I was doing radio with my buddy Cowhead, and my dad called me and he goes, "Grandma's dying."
Cowhead?
Yeah, Cowhead.
Fine.
Yeah.
Let's just move beyond that.
Are
we allowed to ask? Yeah,
he's got a large head.
Okay.
And so he goes, "Grandma's dying. You need to come over to the hospital." So I go, "Okay." So I go over, and for whatever reason, I deny the immediacy. I deny the drama in really traumatic moments, and I come in very level-headed. And I go, "How's everyone doing?" My dad and my uncle are standing by windows, right? And as they're crying, they're taking turns putting their faces in the curtains to cry. It's so fucking weird. And I go over to my grandmother and I go, "Grandma, how you doing?" She goes, "My back hurts. No one will rub it for me." And I went, "I'll rub your back, Grandma." So I start rubbing her back and I go, "I think one of your tissues fell behind your back." And she goes, "It's my skin." And my dad has his head in the curtain. He goes, I was peeling skin off her back, thinking it was a tissue that had fallen apart. And I was like, and my dad and my uncle are taking turns crying and gagging, just
But again, it's hilarious, isn't it? It's sort of, and stuff like that. It's so true. Everyone's been in that kind of moment of sadness and happiness and. Yeah, that kind of weird, like it's such an odd feeling of love and disgust at that dirty old back. Yeah. It's so fucking weird that you adore her more than anything. And yet in this moment, you're like, oh God, it's so funny, but that's what I mean. It's like, I love those kind of forever funnies, because that isn't about kind of politics or it isn't about anything. It's just about this sort of pure and also it's so vulnerable and funny and whenever anyone's an expert I find it quite frustrating. Do you know what I mean? This is the way it is. There's so much more comedy and oh God, how do you how do you peel your nan off?
Yeah.
You know, and if she, you know, oh mate, I love it.
Do you find, how is political comedy in the UK?
It's pretty.
Is everyone pretty much just liberal here?
No. Well, Brexit. So there was a lot of.
Oh, fucking! I never had an opinion about Brexit until I fucking crossed the border in Paris.
Right. Yeah, well,
Jesus Christ!
But I think what it is that, but we're like a mini state. So things have got kind of monetized and exploited. So same as anything. Just find angry people, tell them you understand their anger, find somebody to blame, and walk away. And that's kind of what happened with Brexit, or it's what's happening with, you know, kind of refugees or anything like that. So we're sort of. Politically, that's what's going on at the minute, and this country is knackered. Like we're in real shit. So, but there's still this weird sort of stoic kind of, well, we need to make Britain great again, you know. So we've kind of got a bit of that, but yeah.
It's interesting because I didn't find your stand-up very political at all.
No.
I felt, and I avoid.
It's light, like it sort of mentions it, but it's like it's sort of like. It was like an assessment of like how Boris Johnson did. But
you know what's so funny? What's so interesting about your act is that you brought up so many different prime ministers and leaders than I had never fucking heard of. I didn't even know who Boris Johnson was.
Right. Yeah, well, he was...
And I don't know what he looks like, but I have an idea what he looks like.
Wow.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, I pictured a mini Winston Churchill.
Do you know what do you want me to show you what he looks like?
Please.
I will find you.
I didn't even know who the fuck that was. That's how little I know about politics.
I mean, this from an impression that I've done of Boris Johnson.
That was a great callback too, by the way. That's him?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
You weren't anticipating that?
No, I did not expect that.
Go. Okay. Does that make more sense?
Oh my God. Dude, and he runs.
Yeah.
He's the prime minister?
Yeah, that is the correct response. He was. We've had two since. So we've had 3 in 6 months. We're going through leaders like...
Wait, do you have 3 in 6 months?
3 and 6. We're going through leaders like Pete Davidson going through women. It's an
I think he takes more time with them.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, we had Boris Johnson, and then we had a lady called Liz Truss, who was in charge for 40 days and cost the economy 30 billion.
What?
Because she went full libertarian, and it didn't work out, and the banks went against it. And now we have a bloke called Rishi Sunak, who Joe Biden called him Rashid Sunak. And it's a real moment where, do you know what, this is what blows my mind about America. Like, because I love it. I really love it. And
you love America?
I really do. Like, I just, you can't help but love it if you grow up in England. It's kind of Americana and the films. And then when you get to gig there, it's just unbelievable. Like standing ovations when you arrive. Yeah. What the fuck?
Dude,
it's amazing.
If I could afford you, I'd bring you out on Fully Loaded. We do baseball stadiums are the fucking best.
Is that like you've got decent sort of sound system? It's like when the
It's
like when the Beatles did Shea Stadium and it was going through the transistors.
Yeah, it is one of the funnest things because it's a big hang. So it's every comic that you've. I mean, the greatest is you're sitting there with the best comics working, watching your favorite comics. So for me, Georgia and her friends all are PAs. They all come out and they help. And so they get on a tour bus. This year we'll probably have 4 tour buses. We'll probably fly private. We're doing 4 weeks, 2 in June, 2 in July. And we're gonna but it's just great comics with great comics. It's the funnest. And we do activities during the day. So like last year we went to Churchill Downs and watched horse races and then did a show in their arena that night. We got IVs. Like it's really like I throw a lot of money at making sure the experience for the comics is the best you can ever have.
And do you host?
No, I close it.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So I close it. Everyone does. It's really set up for everyone to murder.
Yeah.
So like I tell everyone,
just do
15,
20.
I go, do whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Whenever you feel like you're killing the hardest, kill. And everyone got so comfortable. We did Thunder Valley. Thunder Valley is a raceway, right? So we set up a stage on the fucking drag track. That they're sitting in all the stands where they would watch drag races.
Yeah.
And it's in a valley. And Shane Gillis goes out and starts singing Rocky Top. and they start pounding dead old Rocky Top, Tennessee, and they take over the song and they're pounding on the stands, and it is, I'm getting chills thinking about it, but Shane Gillis realizes he's done something he has no control over, and there's like looking off stage like, is anyone watching this?
Yeah,
I mean, it was, Joey Diaz came out with us, and Joey Diaz would get the biggest standing ovation walking on stage, and my daughters had known him growing up. He's an uncle, literally an uncle to them. And they had never seen him do stand-up, and Joey's stand-up at the time was the fucking... I mean... And then he just goes on, man, and Georgia and Isla are very woke, and they're like, what did he just say? They're like, that's what he does on stage, Dad?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fucking amazing. I'll put it in an offer, see if you want to do some dates.
Mate, I'd be bang up for that.
You would fucking love it.
But I think it's what I love most is increasing. I just love traveling around doing gigs. Like, so we did the States and we did Europe last year, and it was just like we did 35 shows in 33 days in America.
Whoa.
And we just zigzagged on a tour bus, and it was too much.
Who are you with?
I'm with Gersh.
No, I meant the comics.
Oh, sorry. A comedian called Simon Talbot, who is a Danish comedian.
Wait, do I know him?
Possibly.
Does he live in New York right now?
Nope.
There's a Danish comedian that lives in New York that everyone's fucking raving about.
Oh, that's Daniel Simonson.
Is that? Yeah, it is him.
Yeah, he's Icelandic.
Yeah.
But yes, so he's that guy. That's He's super funny. Yeah, he's been around for a while. Like, he's really good. Really good. So yeah, it was Simon Talbot.
33 dates in 35 days.
Yeah, so it's me, him, and my tour manager Kumar Kamalagaran. And yeah, we're on this tour bus, and we were driven by a bloke called Cadillac Jack, who used to drive for McCartney and Steve Martin.
Really?
When Martin was doing the kind of, had like photos, unbelievable guy. So we'd finish these shows and then kind of chat to him. And then he couldn't do a week of the tour. So the replacement was a guy from Baltimore who was a homicide detective who was taking a break from his work.
Shut up.
To drive comedians around in the dead of night. And I was like, why'd you do that? And he was just like, I got to be alone with my thoughts, man. And it was, when you go, fuck.
Yeah.
So we went out to a karaoke bar and he let go of his thoughts. It was beautiful. We just had like this amazing night.
What cities did you do?
That was it. We did kind
DC,
of the usuals. Yeah, yes. We did
Atlanta.
Didn't do Atlanta. We did, New York, Boston, Washington, Chicago, Minneapolis, Portland, and then,
LA.
Yeah.
Did you do Florida at all?
Nope.
Nothing in the South, really?
Not really. No, we sort of just did like, it was lots of kind of one-nighters of just 2 shows a night and just on the bus and getting up, and then suddenly we're in, God, it was so much fun. But the point making, it kind of wasn't like, it like you don't make a huge amount of money or whatever, but it's just a blast. And also it improves you as a comic because you sort of see your culture outside. And you see how England is represented. You see how English you are. You see things that are funny, and it's the same as like gigging in kind of Europe. You must have had this where you suddenly go in, wow, you've got these sort of new superpowers.
Yeah.
No, but
I know my kryptonites.
No, but it might not be that they're funny until you get back and then go. I remember being in Finland, and I was eating some chips, and this seagull, huge thing, flew down to try and get one of my chips. And I kind of went like that, and this Finnish guy just grabbed the seagull and just went like that and kind of threw it away. So I kind of went on stage and was like, I'll chat about that, and there's like 2,000 people going, well, that's what you do if the seagull, and they couldn't understand how mental it was to catch a seagull, tell it off and throw it away. Yeah. But that became funny. Just what I mean? So just having had that sort of experience made it funny.
I so badly want my family, meaning my sisters, my parents, to go on vacation with your family.
Oh yeah.
And
that's a film.
And see my sisters and your brother and your sister interact and why? Because I think those are the people that define us and make us the funniest. This is Mark Smalls. He's my opener.
Hey, Mark. Hey, man. How are you? That's all right, mate. Yeah.
And so,
I'll be honest. I saw your hat and it looked like a balaclava. And I genuinely was like, fuck, we're going to die here, man. Like, I saw it, but you know what? I saw at the corner of my eye, I was like, this is it. This is the moment.
What's a balaclava?
So balaclava, you know, when you sort of pull it down and it's just the eyes showing?
Yeah.
And like, I thought, sawn off shotgun. This is it. We're going to get
we're dead.
Like that.
We're fucking dead.
Few. So families get together.
Yeah, I would love that. I feel like, do you have any kids?
No.
You going to have kids?
I will, hopefully, yeah. But I would love you to meet my brother.
I want to meet your brother.
And the next time I do the States, whether it's with you, which, you know, if we can do, I would. I'm not fucking around as well. I would genuinely be up for that. But I think my brother with you could be. I think that could go off.
I think it could too.
So I'll tell you a story about him that you'll love. This happened the other day. He kind of rang me up. What I love about him is stories go from nowhere. He rather than, he doesn't have a comics brain. Rather than tell you the story emerges.
Yeah.
He has no idea why it's funny. So he rings me up. He's like, yeah, do you watch the football? So Liverpool lost to Brighton. It's rubbish, isn't it? He goes, I say, yeah, it's crap. Because cook one of them Hello Fresh meals. Chilies are a nightmare, aren't they? I said, yeah. What do you mean? He goes, well, I chopped it up and I forgot. And I went to scratch my balls. And so I ran to the fridge and I poured a cup of milk and I put my balls in. And I said, why did you do that? It's like, it was the only option. Like, it was but it's so funny, the idea of him going, like that. And I said, what the fuck did you do that? Why? And what did you do with the milk? And he said, I put it in the Nespresso machine. And I was like, why did you do that? And he went, cost of living crisis, Russell. Not all of us are on TV. Not all of us got fucking... So his ability to get out of a chokehold, where he's drinking his own fucking nut milk. Yeah. And I accuse him of being a monster. So he can suddenly flip it and go, oh, Mr. I'm on TV rich guy. Yeah. He's incredible. You can't pin him down. Oh. I remember we were doing a Zoom during lockdown with all of my cousins, and it became apparent halfway through. I was like, hang on a minute, are you in the bath? Like that. Like, it was with all my mates, and he said, yeah, you've got to wash, Russ. like, as in, you can't choke him. You can't, like, he can be in the worst situation. He'll find a way of getting out of it, you know? Oh. But yeah.
My sister, Cotty, is...
It's a great name. Is that what's that short for?
It's Gaelic for Katie.
Really?
I think. I mean, look, we're American. Nice. I don't think.
I like it though, Cody.
She is the quickest, funniest human being I've ever been around in my life. But
is she single?
No, she's married. She's got 2 kids.
Because my brother's on the lookout.
Oh,
so it feels like we could have. Anyways.
Oh yeah, no, They cleaned out my closet one time. Like they're really good. My sisters are really good at they love cleaning shit out. Like they love when you go
like Marie Kondo and all that.
Yeah. Can you come and help me organize my bedside table? And they go, fuck yeah, we'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So they helped me clean out my closet, and her assessment of what I owned and what I wanted to keep. Yeah. I was crying, laughing so hard. I had a pair of these shoes. They're running shoes that are ergonomically fit for your feet. So they're almost like flippers. They look like they're really wide here at the toes. Yeah. And then they look like your foot. And it looks like a cell phone. And I said, and she goes, we're getting rid of these. I go, we'll keep them. And she goes, oh, really? For when you're going to get really close to the wall and kiss it? And I go, what? She goes, why the fuck are we keeping these? Like they're the funniest. And the 2 of them together are so, I mean, they fucking kill me. But I would love, it would be the last day when all the families got together and figured out their personalities and everyone started gelling together. That would be the fucking best.
Well, it's like when you have like a stag do and you know, disparate friends come together. I like my stag do was like that. Like, cause I had some really, like my cousin Lee, who is a cleaner in a factory. My cousin Lewis is a traffic warden. I have comedians there from Australia, from America. I have my friend Sam, who's my oldest friend, who is dressed in a cape and kind of like a Mexican, like sort of mariachi mask. And he tells everyone whenever we're out that he's my shaman. Like that. Just like, so he'll just kind of go, he can't go into Nando's, it blocks his energy. So he's a fucking weird guy. And yet everyone... like, you know, just came together. I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
And you sort of realize that's the weird thing, isn't it? When you see all your friends together and you realize that you're a decent human being because all your personalities are reflected in the kind of just the various states of your mate. And you go, I'm a bit him, a bit him, bit him, bit her, bit her, bit him, you know.
Do you have a
great.
podcast?
No, I'm the only comedian in the world without a podcast. But it's because I had I have a TV show and stand up.
You have a TV show right now, right?
Not at the moment, but
Well,
yeah,
I watched it online. I'm guessing.
Yeah. So it's like, we do it for like 15 weeks of the year, from like September to December. So it's kind of like a weekly show about the news, and then. But I'm just doing stand up.
You're just on tour right now.
Just about. So the tour starts 23rd of March in the UK, and then hopefully.
Where are you hitting?
All over.
Do you do like I'm curious of why we did certain cities, and I wonder when you do stand up, do you do a lot of the smaller cities and big venues in smaller cities?
Yeah, you sort of mix it. So we do like I always do arenas, but this tour I'm doing theaters for. I'm sort of there for like 5 shows in like a 3,000 versus like 115.
5 shows in 3,000. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just like because I was doing sort of that size in Europe, and having done arenas, I really love those threes. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of amazing in terms of like. So I just fancied a change, really.
Yeah, no, I'm doing arenas this year.
They're amazing. They're
amazing. It's just
a lot of the thing is, it's money, but a lot of comics are all like, "Oh, arenas are shit." It's like they're not. They're amazing.
They're really fun.
If you're lucky enough to be able to do them, you know, I think the only people that complain about arenas, the people that don't do them.
Like Ari Shaffir.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Like Ari Shaffir.
Does he not do it?
No, he's not doing arenas, and he's shit on them every time anyone ever talks about him. And now he has a fantastic hour on YouTube called Jew. Everyone should go check it out and go watch him and force him to do fucking arenas, so that he has to eat his words. He's like, actually, they're actually pretty good. But
because you can just get this. And the only thing that's tricky I find about arenas is you can't change the show once it's there. I've never had the bravery because it feels like it's this dum da dum da dum da dum dum da dum. Whereas in a 2000 you can kind of move it about. But I would never open a 15 by going, "Hey, you're right. I haven't got the skill set."
The ideal tour would be. This is how it should work. I don't know why as you said that, this is what I should do. It was what I should have done.
Theaters up to arenas.
Yeah, do clubs to theaters to arenas in one tour.
Yeah, man.
And do like, and go small.
I did that. Do you know, I did that like when I broke in the UK in 2007. We started at the Canterbury Gulbenkian, and we ended that tour in 2009 at Wembley Arena. So we literally had gone from...
Wembley's 12?
Yes. So we'd gone from that whole kind of...
Yeah.
It was just mad. And then, I've suddenly got like a real wave of like, oh fuck, I've got to write my show. You know what I mean? I was really excited, and my brain was like...
That's been my entire fucking tour. The thing that's stressing me out is that...
When does the new one start?
It's just, this is it.
I
started it here, but I start Thursday. I'm in Williamsport, Pennsylvania I have 2 nights or maybe 2 shows one night. And then
wow, man. So you're in it.
I'm in it.
Mate, it's Tuesday.
I know.
So you've like... That's mad, eh?
And then we're in Boston Garden.
Is that an arena?
Yeah, it's where the Celtics play. Yeah, it's pretty fucking...
It's amazing.
Yeah, and then we're doing arenas all through... and I'm trying to write new material and make sure that I can have enough new material so that if anyone's seen me... Have you
done stuff about... Is that Funeral?
No.
Mate.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can work it out at TD Gardens.
No. But what are you doing tonight? Find a gig?
Yeah, I hit up my agent and to see if I can get on somewhere, but fuck it.
But I think there's like the point I'm making. That's dead funny, man.
I'm dying to see your next hour. I'm dying to see.
Well, like honestly, I would let's swap details because that's the other thing that's annoying. Whenever I go to the US, it's kind of like I normally go to New York to kind of work stuff up. You know that brutal week before you start touring, where you go to all the smaller clubs and just eat shit. I don't know if that happens to you, but you figure out something doesn't work, or you're competing with chicken and they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I never have anyone to hang out with other than.
Oh, hit me up, dude.
Well, I will, because I know Dan Soda is like a mate of mine.
Yeah.
But he is a funny fucking man. Like, he is, like, his last hour I saw it in Soho, hilarious. He's
great.
like my only mate.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like,
hit
but
me
do you
up,
know what I
man.
mean? Of
Yeah.
like, it's sort of that weird thing. And then the problem is that arrogance and shyness look exactly the same.
Ooh.
But from further away. So if you're sort of stood
that's
there,
a fucking, put that on a fucking t-shirt. That's a fucking.
But it's so true that you see somebody and you're like, look at that piece of shit. But he might just be there going, oh God, I'm a piece of shit. Why can't you go over there and say hello? Like, I saw Mark Normand we did Gotham.
Yeah.
And I think he's a great comic.
Yeah.
But I was so nervous to go and say hello. So, and then if I did my set and it was really good, and I went, hey man, I think you're really good. And he was like, oh, thank you. All right. You know, like,
Yeah.
And it was, but I realized it's like I'd spoiled that moment by not having the courage to kind of go up. But it's that deep English thing that you go, I better not have a chat because he probably thinks I'm a cunt. So I'll just stay over here.
No, man.
But you know what I mean?
Mark will be excited to know that you, I mean, Mark.
He's funny, man. He is funny dude.
I mean, I'm with him, him, and Shane Gillis are doing the Mullet Arena. We're doing 4 nights at it.
Amazing.
And for the Super Bowl. And then we're going to the Super Bowl together.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, I'm losing my ass on that fucking week. I bought them all Super Bowl tickets, and then those guys are they're fucking awesome. But it's a Super Bowl, so we're getting like ticket requests. Like Shane texted last night, and he's like, I think the Philadelphia Eagles want to come to a show, and I'm just looking at ticket counts, going like, oh my god, 54 tickets.
But that's great though, eh?
Yeah, it's gonna be a that run of shows is done. So that we can go to this, it's meant to be a party. It's not meant to be a money grab, and it's gonna be a fucking blast. But Mark will be there. I'll tell you. I'll tell him.
Say hello. Yeah,
I will. He's a fun guy to party with. I went to his bachelor.
Really?
Yeah. He's John Manz's favorite human being.
Oh yeah, he's good.
He got him addicted to Ambien last time he was in England.
You got him addicted, or he got you?
Yeah.
You him. You don't look like a pusher.
Oh, he is.
Really?
He takes a little nibble of an Ambien. We were on a train going to Glasgow and from London, and Mans is like, hey, I'm try one of these one, Mark. And Mark's like, and then they nibble it, and then they both passed out after a vodka, and I'm wide awake on the train. And then Mark's like, I could use more of those, Mansy. So yeah.
This is what I love.
Yeah.
See, you don't look like the guy.
Oh no, he's the guy. He's one of the most fascinating guys you'll ever meet. He was my cameraman. Like you.
Yeah. This is the chat we had before. Yeah.
So
have you nearly died on a stag do with some British men?
Say again?
No.
It was a callback.
When are you coming to the States again?
So hopefully the end of the year.
Really?
Yeah. So I've got to get the show together and then come back. I love the fact you've got a t-shirt tan. I've only just noticed it.
Oh what?
Look at that. So I can see that you're tanned up to there and then nothing there.
Yeah.
But that is just so quintessentially you. I fucking love it. But do you know what I mean? But yeah, let's do details.
Yeah, let's do it, dude. This is a blast.
Mate, I really enjoyed that.
Honestly, fucking
that
the
was a
funniest
good one,
fucking dude. Funniest fucking dude.
Right back at
I
you, man.
love your special. I'm now gonna go back and watch all of them because I saw the one I saw was with the t-shirt.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it, man.
There's a lot of t-shirts.
It's a pleasure to have sat down with you. Thank you
and
for doing
you,
this.
man. I really enjoyed that. Thank you,
yeah.
dude. Awesome.
That's great.
That was so much fun.
Thank you.
All right.
That was fucking great.
Great.